Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, I'm going to be continuing my series looking at spirits, some flaws in the spirit's design, as well as some changes to the spirit to make it more interesting, in my opinion here. So now we are getting to lightning. So this is another low complex spirit. We've already covered shadows, a spirit I don't really like, earth, a spirit that I really like that needs a lot of help, and now we're at lightning. So lightning, I love lightning as well. I actually think this design of lightning is pretty darn close. I know in the past I've stated there's some pretty large problems with the spirit, but the more I've played the spirit, the more I've messed with different openings as well as the combos with the spirit. I'm kind of like pretty content with how the spirit is. So unlike Shadows, unlike Earth, where I really think those spirits need some help, I think if Eric or the developers, if they said, we're going to leave Lightning exactly the way it is, I would not be upset. I absolutely love that. So let's talk a little bit about Lightning. So Lightning has, I'd say about 3 to 4 different builds. The first build, and this is the build that I first started playing when I was with, first started using when I played Lightning, was I started off with G2 top, followed by G3 bottom, and then I would alternate between G1 and G3, moving across bottom track. And it's not the best build, but it does a pretty good job into most level 6 adversaries. Um, the problem is those adversaries that put a lot of pressure or have edge cases early on, you kind of just get hosed. The second build that Lightning players started doing was they did G2 top, followed by G2 bottom. And the idea was you didn't play any cards turn 1, and then on turn 2 you'd play 3 cards, and then you'd enter a reclaim loop for like 3 to 4 turns, choosing this first growth option as you accumulate cards in your hand, and then eventually you G2 bottom, such that you can get to 6 plays. And that was the second build with Lightning. And basically, you want to leverage Lightning 6 plays. Lightning is the only spirit in the game that has access to 6 plays on the track. There are, I think, 2 other spirits that can get up to high card plays, but like I said, Lightning is the only one that can get access to it, and you get access to it very early. So um, this build leverages that. The last build is a fast tempo build, and the idea behind this is you're going to leverage the energy up here, and you're going to choose that G3, you're going to go bottom track, and then you're going to have 5 energy, and then you're going to play these 3 cards. And the point of this is you want to be able to access or use that shatter as well as your innate, and then you're going to quickly reclaim so that you get another power card, and then you can throw these cards back. And this is a ton of tempo that you get to do. You get to do 4 town kills quite early on, and a lot of times you end up having to reclaim again the following turn, just because you only have 2 cards in your hand, and Raging Storm is kind of awkward. So those are the 2 or the 3 main builds with Lightning. There is like another build, and this is the build that I showcased in the 6-6 series, where you rush towards 6 plays, and then you get fed support. And the idea is you once again try to leverage the 6 card plays. So Lightning. What's the problem with Lightning? So the biggest issue I have with Lightning is really this G3 is a little bit too strong, and you just don't have ways to generate cards. Um, a while ago when I was talking to the developers about card gain, most from what they had, I don't know if their opinion has changed. This was years ago, but they had mentioned that they found that the more ways a spirit generates cards, the more interesting the spirit um, is. Uh, and they found that a lot of these NI spirits really need ways to generate multiple cards. And you can see that with Roots, you see that with Behemoth, Darkness, and so forth. I think like there's only a couple that don't, like Hearth Vigil is one. I think Sun is another, but Sun always is placing presence, so it's a little bit different. You can always gain cards if you decide to choose. But a lot of these spirits are always gaining cards, and I think that's a change that would fit very well with Lightning. When I say always gaining cards, I mean have multiple options to gain cards. So the first thing that I would do is I would change this growth option to do the presence add energy, and then I would have it 1 card. So now Lightning has the ability to get cards off of G3 as well as G1. Now this G3 is already being utilized. So I think in order to because you're getting minors, I think, or just power cards, the way to adjust this is to make this 2 energy. And you might be able to make this 1 energy. I'm not sure. I would have to play test it, but I would for sure reduce the energy by 1. But I would add a power card here. The other thing I would consider doing is completely getting rid of this energy off of Reclaim. So a lot of Lightning's builds, they end in these Reclaim loops, or they try to Reclaim loop because you're trying to leverage this extra energy on Reclaim. So I think getting rid of this is something to consider. Because I'm already reducing the energy here, I don't want to remove energy here right now, but that's something that I would consider. So the tracks are pretty, in my opinion, balanced. I love the early 6 plays. This is the only spirit that can really access this early on. And especially like 4 plays. So G2 bottom to get to 4 plays on turn 2, that's like unheard of. I don't think another spirit can actually do something like that. And Lightning can, and I think that's awesome. Top track, I love ending at 5. It does take a while to get up to the 3 to 4 energy economy. I mean, double dead space. I mean, you might be able to put an element here, just because this spot here is incredibly awkward. Like the value of going from 2 to 3 energy is so low, and you have to cross the dead space, but the value of going from 2 to 4 or 4 to 6 or 3 to 5 is so large, so that G2 is very favorable on bottom track. So I would consider adding like maybe a single element here. Like I'm just going to put a fire there just for the heck of it. I'd put like maybe a fire here, and then like maybe an air here, and like that's it. Like put 1 or 2 elements on top track. You probably can like not even have to put an element here, but I think putting 1 or 2 elements here, I think would go a long way. Maybe put one here, like you shift these down. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm gonna lock these in just because that's where I want to put them. But I think that's what I would do. I think the innate is perfect. Would not touch this one bit. I like everything about it. I also love the special rule. Would not touch it at all. The last thing that I would do is I would look at the uniques. I think the uniques are pretty much solid. I mean, I love Lightning's Boon. I would not change this one bit. Same with Shatter Homestead. And then we're left with Raging Storm and Harbingers. So, like, Harbingers is fine. Like you could leave this card the way it is, but I think this is an opportunity to add an extra element onto this card. Not only does it combo with one of the aspects that I'm going to talk about in a second, but it also I think is on point. Also, Lightning doesn't really have any secondary elements across its cards. The only one it has is this water. So I think squeezing in this moon here, I think there's space to do it. Like I don't think Lightning should ever have access to plant, animal, or earth. But I think sun, moon, fire, air, and water, I think should be tapped somewhere on the cards. So I think squeezing a moon on here, I think I think can go not a long way, but it opens up more major thresholds. So that'd be the one change I would make to Harbingers. And then the last change is Raging Storm. So if you came and talked to me years ago, I would tell you that this card is garbage and that it's overcosted. Well, I'm right. It is overcosted, and many times it is garbage. But once again, that 6/6 series really opened my eyes to just how powerful this card is and how essential it is to Lightning's kit. Now, in order for it to be good, the spirit has to be completely supercharged by other spirits. So you could argue that this card is pretty underpowered, and in like the only way to optimize it is to power up the spirit. So now the question comes: is it okay for a spirit to have a weaker unique card? And I think the answer is yes. I think having a card that's a little bit on the weaker end promotes the spirit to be or to focus more on that drafting. Now, is there something that I can do to make this card a little bit better? I mean, I think the quickest fix is just to make it 2 energy and then go from there. 2 energy. And then part of me wants to make this Sacred Site targeting. And just see how that card plays out. I mean, remember, we are reducing energy here. So reducing energy here, it essentially allows this card to be a little bit more played. I really like it at 2 energy, so I'd like to keep it the same. Is this 1 damage to each invader? Maybe you minimize this to just explorers and towns. I'm not sure. Maybe make it Sacred Site targeting. But I definitely think this card needs to get looked at just a little bit. Like I'm okay with it being on the weaker end, but this is significantly weaker. And once again, just looking at some comparisons, I'm bringing up Sunbright Whirlwind, and we have Tempest of Wind, Tempest of Leaves and Branches. So it's a 2 energy fast, and it's very similar, but it's a little bit limited in its targets. Once again, has that Sacred Site targeting, and it's up to 5 different invaders. So it's very similar to Raging Storm. Raging Storm is slow, but of course Lightning can kind of cheat it to make it go fast. But this is doing 1 damage to each invader. and it has flexible targeting. So you might argue that this is now probably stronger than Tempest, and I think it is. But the spirits are fundamentally different, especially with the economies of this spirit, especially being able to generate 4 energy instantly and to get access to 2 energy quite early on your tracks. So I think this is pretty reasonable. I think making this 2, making this a sacred site. I love the fact that there's multiple sacred site targetings on the spirit. It really promotes the G2 option. Actually, let's not actually put the sacred site targeting on here because I think we do this. We make it 2 energy, we leave everything else the same on this card, and then we give this a moon. We then nerf the energy here. Maybe you nerf this energy. I'm not sure. Yeah. So this is how I would fix just base lightning. I think this is it's definitely a little bit of a base power boost, I think overall. But I think it would be pretty interesting to see how this change implements the or how this change can affect the economy. Because now I think now you don't have to always play Shatter. You can maybe swap it out for Raging Storm. That could help you out into that Russia matchup, into that France matchup, and making this G3 giving you a power card as well may enable some spam G3 builds going bottom track. Who knows? Maybe that's now the optimal build, but I get the feeling it's probably not. So we would have to wait and see that. Also, I'm curious to see how this fire plays a role. One of the other things that I was considering is just like how I mentioned with Earth, while you can add those nodes to increase the defense across top track, you could do something similar with Lightning, where you create little nodes across top track that increase the damage of Raging Storm. So just leave Raging Storm as is, as 3 damage, as a 3 energy card, but 1 damage to each invader. But if you have, for every node you have, let's say you put nodes like here, here, here. For every node, it increases the damage by 1. So the card would read 1 damage to each invader plus 1 damage. So it essentially would kill all of the explorers and then it would kill 1 town. Or if you get both the nodes, it would increase plus 2 damage. So they would kill all of the explorers and then 2 towns. So that was another idea that I kind of messed around with. But I really think the best way is just reduce the cost by 1. And because when you're adding these nodes, you're increasing the complexity. I mean, I don't know how much of a complexity increase it is, but I think just making this 2 energy is going to increase the diverse builds that you can have with the spirit, as in what cards you're playing and the order at which you're playing the cards. So I think that that's something I would do. This moon ad, once again, it's a very, very minor detail that's only going to help you with the major synergies. So that's how I'd fix base lightning. Looking at the aspects, so Pandemonium is a aspect that's going to replace this innate, and what it does is it turns it into a strifing effect with extra fear, and instead of blatant town or building destruction. This is why I'm giving this card a moon, is to help you access these final tiers a little bit easier. Just like how Raging Storm is that water, here's your moon. The one thing I would change on this card, so because you're getting a moon off of Harbingers, it makes this a little bit easier, which means I would reduce the fear across the board. Like this innate generates an absurd amount of fear, 2, 4, 8, 10, 11. So like maybe I would reduce this like by 1 fear. I'd make this 2. Yeah, I'd make this 3. And remember, this is all cumulative. So when you're maxing out this innate, you're getting what, 2, 4, 8. You're getting 11 fear right now. And instead, that would reduce it to like what, that'd be 3, 6. That would reduce it to like 10 fear or 9 fear. No, it'd reduce it to 9 fear, which I think is a little bit more reasonable. Still absurd, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so that's Pandemonium. I would leave all the other changes the same. Let's look at Immense. So Immense is changing how Lightning functions. It's turning into a major power spirit where it's gaining double energy and having the card plays. I would pretty much keep all of these changes the same. Now it's able to gain more cards with G3. Maybe that makes this too powerful. Like the biggest negative to Immense is the only way you gain power cards is off of Reclaim. So the only way that you're gaining majors is off of Reclaim. Having this G3 now allows you to gain majors just naturally. So just the single change over here might be enough to completely crack the spirit with Immense. But I would have to wait and see. I would have to actually play games with it. So I would love to see how that plays out. Wind is just like Pandemonium, is just like Base Lightning, except it's getting rid of this innate, but it functionally plays the same. So I wouldn't make any other changes to Base Lightning. I feel like this is there's no reason to make any other changes because it functions so similarly. And finally, we have the NI aspect, and that is sparking here. So sparking, it solves that problem that I mentioned earlier, where Lightning was only able to gain cards on Reclaim. Well, now Lightning can gain cards off of the innate. In addition, it's getting rid of your Raging Storm and giving you Smite. And look at it's a 2 energy card, so that 2 energy card effect is able to work within the confines of the kit. I don't like once again, just like with Nourishing, Sparking really boosts the power level of base Lightning. So if for this aspect, I wouldn't make any changes to the Spirit, just because this is just such a massive power boost to it. Um, Really, I would rather just have the current the changes I mentioned here, and then playing with one of these aspects, and then if you wanted to play with the sparking, you'd play with just the base lightning kit. So hopefully you like this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Our next video we will be covering River.